Hello my gays and weebs, it's Piper. Do I usually say it's Piper for my intro? I don't remember. I guess I'm saying it now, or I'm saying it for this video. I can kind of hear the noises of my sister's dance class. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but I just want to film right now. I don't want to wait till their class is over, and because it's like Zoom class, I don't know her Zoom schedule, so it's, yeah. So if you, hopefully that'll be covered by the music, or it just won't even reach the camera because I can barely hear it. Knock on wood, this is like the one time I started recording where my neighbors haven't been doing construction, so I think I'd take like little bits of music over the loudness of the house a few houses down from me just drilling. It's only when I'm filming that they do it, I swear to God. So, as of recording this video, I just watched Japan Sinks 2020, and yeah, I'm like a month late, and I don't think anyone's talking about it anymore. I initially wasn't gonna watch it because like a lot of people said it was bad, and then a lot of people said it was good, and I was confused, and I like heard a lot of mixed reviews for it to the point where I was like, okay, I kind of want to form my own opinion and not just rely on the opinion of others. And also, I really enjoyed the one Crybaby, and I kind of wanted to see other works that the creators made. Although from the reception from the show, I've seen this is like the least liked of all his works, so I'm meaning to like go back and see more of that. I wasn't gonna make a video on this show because I felt like it didn't really match what I talked about so far on my channel because I've only talked about gay stuff. But a clip near the end of it changed my mind. Before I go into that clip though, I feel like I should talk a little bit about the show as a whole and the character that I'm making this video on, so that you can get a better understanding and what I'm saying isn't gonna just be 100% out of context. So Japan Sinks is about Japan sinking. Okay, moving on. I'm kidding, I'll talk more. So the show begins with a massive earthquake that is like a beginning of a number of earthquakes that'll eventually result in Mount Fuji erupting and Japan sinking. The fact that it sinks isn't really a spoiler since it's in the title, but I guess spoiler warning. We follow a family who survived the initial earthquake and their journey from the mountain region where they live to try to get off of Japan. On their journey, they run into this dude who honestly makes the show worth watching. So Kite is a YouTuber and honestly like the most positive example of a YouTuber that I've ever seen in media. Not that I can pull off the top of my head a bunch of movies where characters are YouTubers, but I kind of assumed that like they'd always be like, I don't know, self-indulgent jerks, but Kite's like a genuinely cool person. It's like, whoa, that's a YouTuber? So Kite has a pretty good understanding of what's happening. A handful of times he saves their main characters by like understanding that like, oh, there's radiation over here, there's poisonous gas, don't go there, and just being very informed onto what is going on. He empathizes with the family, and instead of flying away on this like parachute jet thing that like, I know there's a name for it, but I'm not gonna look it up right now. He decides to come with the family and risk his own life in order to help them get to safety. He also raps at one point. That whole scene was a little bit weird. He acquires this tank boat thing just out of the blue, I guess, with like his YouTube money. And the climax of the show, he risks his life in order, on the like slim chance that he can get the signal to where the kids, who are the two surviving members of the family, so that then help can come and get them. And for a little bit we don't know like what happens to him after that because he could very well have died trying to get the signal to them. So yeah, cool character. The show ends with a montage of flashbacks and recorded footage from before the disaster hit. And in this, we're finally given images, the flashback voiceovers that we've heard throughout the show, mainly when someone dies. At first, I kind of thought that this was just a hammer the nail on the head of how like, oh, these are just normal people and going through their everyday lives, and suddenly like they're so impacted by this and they're dying and this could be you kind of thing. But I thought it was a nice touch to have these lines that we heard before tied up with a message of preserving and celebrating Japan. So why am I talking about this? Well, in this flashback sequence, we see a short clip of a kite flown by Kite. It has like Kite's logo on it, so I just kicked the camera. We see a short clip of a kite with Kite's logo being flown by Kite as a child. In this sequence, he has long hair, is wearing like a pink sweater and a skirt. He determinedly pushes the skirt to the ground to reveal shorts and continues to fly his kite looking triumphant. Next, we see him making a video about flowers, which ties into like the whole celebration of Japan and things native to Japan, as well as kind of showing how he began his YouTube career, which kind of made him into who he was when we meet him. Many viewers, myself included, took that scene as a reveal that Kite is transgender. Another addition to this theory, a term that I'm using loosely because personally I do believe that that was enough to give it canon confirmation, is when the main character looks at her phone, she gets this notification that says the Kite is streaming, and I kind of assumed that this bit was just to show the viewers that Kite is alive, because this is the first that we'd heard from like present day Kite since he was off like saving everyone. There wasn't really much confirmation if like he had made it out okay. In the English dub, and yeah, I watch English dub, and this is one of the shows where you can't shade me for that, because one of the main reasons I chose dub over sub was the amount of people complaining about how in the original audio the characters speak both English and Japanese, but because of how it was directed or cast, the actors couldn't really speak English well, so it sounds very broken and difficult to listen to if you speak English. So I chose the dub so I wouldn't have those issues with the show. But as I was saying, in the English dub, she looks at her phone, sees like the notification about what Kite's doing, and says, oh, he looks like he's doing well, or doing good, or something along the lines of that. In the sub, however, she says, in English, she looks well. Now, some people have taken that as further proof that the character is trans. I don't really like that though, because I don't think that in order to show that a character is not cisgendered, they should then be misgendered as their like assigned at birth gender in order to prove that they're transgender. I think it's a bit tone deaf, and I think if it's read into, it could almost seem like to this main character, Kite isn't a real man, which is not true. Kite is a man, he just happened to have been assigned the wrong gender at birth. Personally, I thought the flashback bit was enough. I like that we already know Kite for who he is and have seen his full story before getting this detail on his past. It shows that the sex someone is assigned at birth is very insignificant to who they are as a whole and what their gender is. Kite is a man, and it's important that we see him for who he is, his personality, and all the qualities that make up him before we're given that bit of information. Because it stops us from judging him based on his gender orientation and instead on him as a person. I'm a member of the LGBT+ community, and I'm a strong supporter of trans rights, but of course, as someone who is cis, I can only speak so far onto whether or not this is a good example of representation. In my opinion, aside from the misgendering, I think it was. I think this is one of the rare cases where having this bit at the end of the show didn't make it feel rushed or just tagged on to get brownie points for representation. Cough, Voltron, cough. Because the point of his character isn't what his gender is. It's that he's an empathetic, strong, and suave dude who happens to be trans. I'm not saying that all examples of representation in today's media should be this subtle, but in this case in particular, I think it worked well. While as a whole, I will say I wasn't that impressed with this anime, it is details like that that makes me feel like the show was still worth watching. So, what did you guys think? Did you think that that little bit at the end was enough to be considered representation, or would you have liked more of a backstory? Also, what did you think of Japan Sinks as a whole? Because I thought it was okay, but it had a few like really good parts and a few like episodes that were like really stellar in the mix of all the okay. Thanks for watching. Oh, actually, that actually worked. Like half the time I snap, it just doesn't sound like anything. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Well, you'll see me because that is how this works. Bye-bye.